Wait, before you move to Irvine, California, you've got to check out this map video that tells you everything that you want to know about the Irvine alternative, Lake Forest, California. There's going to be things you love and hate about both Irvine and Lake Forest, so you won't want to miss it, so you don't make the mistake of moving to the wrong place. Let's get started.
So first, let's start out with the 40,000 foot view. I know you guys want to get into things like, school district. What is the median home price of Lake Forest? Where is Lake Forest compared to Irvine? What are you getting and giving up when you choose Lake Forest versus Irvine? We're going to get into that stuff. We'll even show you, some houses in Lake Forest and the median home price, just to give you a broad overview.
And why do I call Lake Forest Irvine Light?
Oh yeah, why does Sean call Lake Forest Irvine Light?
It's for the comments.
It's for the hate mail. So here we are in Orange County. I just want to show you, just for anyone who might be totally unfamiliar with what we're even talking about. Orange County in the United States, you have counties and then cities within counties. So Lake Forest is a city within Orange County. Irvine, you can see right there, is a city within Orange County. And then you've got Los Angeles County right above it. And then this is San Diego County down here. But this part right here is open space. So it means that San Diego County is like a little bit cut off.
Like an island almost.
Yeah, it's kind of like an island, whereas even though Orange County really isn't like Los Angeles, they're very different, but they're right next to each other and you can just easily drive over. There's no open space in between.
Yeah, and Orange County really is like part of the greater Los Angeles market, right? Media market, just job market, everything. So Orange County, we're happy to be the little brother to Los Angeles, but we all grows up now and we have our own identity, but we still love to be part of the greater LA media market.
Yeah. And then just to show you where it is in California, in case, for anyone who's totally new, obviously, this is what's considered Southern California down here. And then, you get pretty much to Santa Barbara, even though Santa Barbara technically is Central California. It's kind of like Santa Barbara on down to San Diego. That's Southern California. Then you have sort of nobody kind of lives here. Of course, there's a few people, kind of nothingness. And then this right here is what people say is, quote, Northern California. Just for anyone who's totally new. So let's get back to Orange County. And then obviously, we will show you the ever famous Irvine and then Lake Forest. So here we have Irvine, the ever-famous Irvine. You might be thinking about moving to Irvine, California, but there are alternatives, and one of them is this little city right next to it, Lake Forest.
So before we continue, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Sean Dazad.
And I'm Courtney Dazad.
And this is Strider Dazad.
Oh, he's so cute!
And we're licensed realtors here in the state of California. Not him, but us. And if you're watching this channel, you might be thinking, wow, Sean, I love Orange County. I love the blue skies. I love the beautiful weather. I can't wait to move it here. Now, the problem is I'm not local and maybe out of state and maybe out of the country, so I don't know what to do. I totally get that. That's when you reach out to us. We can be your boots on the ground. We can find that perfect home for you when we have our call. And we can start to do actual virtual tours of the homes as well as the neighborhoods that they're in. So when you do come out here, your time is spent super efficiently. So what you want to do is you need to give us a call or shoot us a text.
Yes, that number is a cell phone, so you can call us or text us, or you can use WhatsApp if you're outside the country. Strider wants to hear from you.
So Sean, I guess what we could do first is, why don't we go over the different areas of Lake Forest? And Sean, you would know this better than me. Sean's the one who works with clients. So let's just give a broad overview of Lake Forest, and then we'll talk about things like school districts, median price, obviously explain where it is in comparison to Irvine and these sorts of things.
Sure. So if we're looking, yes. So yes, I said the scroll wheel kind of scrolls down. So basically Lake Forest itself, it's really kind of cool because it's kind of in that that little pocket just south of Irvine. It actually borders Irvine right here, and so Irvine is right next door. Actually, in fact, one of the major hubs in Irvine as far as a job center, because Irvine is the largest job hub in Orange County, is the Irvine Spectrum right here. And so Lake Forest basically bleeds into, you almost don't know where you are when you're in the Irvine Spectrum and heading towards Lake Forest. All of a sudden you're just in Lake Forest. Very similar vibe. There's kind of that consistent, office buildings and that kind of stuff that you don't even know you're in Lake Forest, but there you are. So basically that's one of the huge draws to Lake Forest, is the fact, and again, it is distinctive. I don't want to poo-poo Lake Forest as being Irvine Light in that that's a bad thing. It's just more that the fact that you're right next to Irvine and that you don't have to pay necessarily the Irvine prices, again, which we will get into in a little bit.
Yeah, just, we always joke that Lake Forest is Irvine light because it's like Irvine but less expensive than Irvine. And it's weird how people get really mad about that, but it's bizarre to me because I'm like, Irvine is a great city. I love Irvine. What's wrong with being like Irvine? Like, there are a lot of similarities between Lake Forest and Irvine.
And if you're kind of looking at what the newer construction has been in Lake Forest, very Irvine light.
Yeah, very Irvine light for sure. Yeah, it's a little bizarre that people get in a tiff about that.
Yeah, and we will get into that part of it too, as far as like the newer construction neighborhoods, because Lake Forest is one of those areas that has some of that still going on, where again a lot of Orange County has already been built out.
Yeah, and then how Sean was mentioning that obviously it's right next to where all the offices are in this particular part of Irvine. There's other, employment centers in Irvine, but then also kind of like along this whole border, you pretty much have like a lot of office buildings that kind of like bleed into Irvine and Lake Forest. So again, another reason why Lake Forest is popular, because there's a lot of jobs and businesses here.
Yes, exactly. Actually, Bake is like a major artery in this area. So Bake Parkway right here is like, again, borders Irvine. Like, as you can see, the dividing line between Lake Forest and Irvine is right here. It has a very similar vibe to Irvine in that there's a lot of jobs here, a lot of office space, a lot of commercial going on in this area. And then you have other corridors that have, more retail space, right? So like corridors, like, let's see here, if I'm actually bringing up, this is, I believe, El Toro right here. And then this is Lake Forest Parkway right there. So these are some pretty major roads. When we talk about like arteries, these are about 6, 8, 10 lanes across. So this is not a country 2-lane, 1-lane road. These are very, fast roads that get you onto the freeway pretty quickly.
Oh, 1 second, real quick here with some pretty B-roll to grab your attention, but just a quick reminder that if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to this channel because we have lots of videos like it planned for the future. And don't forget to comment down below where you're thinking of moving to Orange County, California from. Sean has worked with clients from every continent except Antarctica, so let us know your story. We'd love to hear it. Talk soon, and now back to our regularly scheduled programming.
So actually kind of that bleeds into, okay, well, how do you get to Lake Forest? What is over here? So a couple spots that are really big to know. One is the 5 freeway right along here. It's hugely important. That's one of the major freeways in all of Southern California. And in fact, it actually branches off to the 405 freeway this way. So that's another major freeway. And on top of that, if you're farther up here, right? If you're in this area up here, you are tempted to take the 241 freeway, right? The 241 is an actual toll road. So as native Southern Californians, we avoid paying tolls at all costs because freeways always used to be free. Different parts of the country, that's not necessarily the case. But the thing is, we kind of avoid it, but it's really nice to have if you need to get somewhere. I kind of I liken it to like in case of emergency, break glass, in that if you need to get somewhere quick, 241 is a fantastic way to do it. Okay, and then from there, like as far as just kind of give you again an overview, right? So we want to just kind of like talk about how when you actually go into this area, that you have a couple of major like retail spots. We talked about the commercial spots, but retail spots here, we're talking about more of like along El Toro Road right there, and also along Portola Highway right here. So these are 2 major retail spots where you have lots of shopping and options from that perspective. And of course, you're right next to a mega retail spot here, that being the Irvine Spectrum, which is a very large outdoor mall. It's one of the largest malls in actually all of Orange County. It's about one of the 3 largest, possibly the largest actually at this point. Well, I don't know if it's bigger than South Coast Plaza, but it's big. So that kind of gives you a sense of what Lake Forest itself has to offer.
Yeah, and then we can also talk about just kind of like the different neighborhoods, give you different feel for the different varieties that you get in Lake Forest. So
yeah, so we could talk about, so one, like, okay, so if you're looking for new construction, so we'll kind of start with that, right? Because a lot of people love them some new construction. Portola Hills is hugely big on new construction. There's a good amount, either homes being built to this day or just very recently built homes. Baker Ranch is another big development that was also similar. So tons of demand for that. People want to move into those neighborhoods because again, they want the shiny new object, right? So it's that new construction. And these homes can be pretty good size, 3,000 or so square feet. I mean, plus or minus. Of course, they can be smaller than that. And then, but yeah, the price point's pretty like substantial. Like they're, 2 million plus for sure. I mean, like some of them's in the 3 range. So just kind of get a sense of what kind of price range you're looking at.
Yeah, and then since we are talking about the neighborhoods of Lake Forest that are more east, and Sean is showing you, he's doing an outline of this green part. It's not green. It is brush. It's brown brush. I mean, I guess maybe like
Golden Hills is how you affectionately call it.
Some like in March sometimes it'll be greenish. But it's mostly brush, and then obviously, that is undeveloped land. We're not fire experts. Please reach out to us if you want the Orange County Fire Authority's fire map. But anytime you are close to undeveloped land, you have increased fire risk. Again, we're not an expert, but that's just like common sense. So, you should know about that.
Yeah, and I'm not one to minimize it. Obviously, fires have been in the news. We've had some, like in Southern California itself, there's been some pretty substantial fires. So, being a native Californian, as long as it's insurable and I'm not right abutting the, I don't want to be, me personally, I don't want to be necessarily right next to undeveloped land just because that can burn pretty quick and then, potentially consume your home. Whereas if you're even a few rows in, that makes all the difference. That can make all the difference in the world. But at the same time, we're happy to furnish you with the latest fire authority map so you kind of see where's elevated fire danger, and that does, cause some potential issues with with insurance as well, because the thing is that obviously insurance companies are very conscious of the fact that they don't want to have what they're insuring go up in flames as well. So that could one, either limit your possibilities of whatever various insurances out there, or or raise a premium. So that just be aware of that. And that's actually when we're actually in escrow. When I have a client that's buying a property, one of the first things I have them do is definitely reach out to their insurance agent to see what insurance options are out there, because again, it could take a few, it could take a week or two to get things underwritten to make sure that you're ready to go by the time closing is happening.
And then obviously Sean was talking about the new construction neighborhoods, but then it's right next to Foothill Ranch. People are probably wondering, what is that? Sean can talk about it, but to me, Foothill Ranch, like, you want to talk about Irvine Light, that's Foothill Ranch. Like,
oh yeah.
Do you know you're in not Irvine? I do, because I know what Foothill Ranch looks like, but for anyone who's never been to Irvine, you probably could find yourself at Foothill Ranch and be like, am I in Irvine? No, you're in Lake Forest.
Yeah, it makes you question reality.
Yeah.
Where am I at the end of the day? But yeah, I actually like Foothill Ranch a lot because, again, I grew up in Orange County, so Irvine, especially circa 1990s Irvine, really good vibe. Actually, Foothill Ranch has a lot of similar vibes to me as Tustin Ranch does.
Oh,
and of course,
sure.
Irvine, for sure. Like, the stuff that's built in 1990s Orange County, the quintessential different shade of beige, that whole thing. That is, stucco homes, different shade of beige. That's Foothill Ranch in a nutshell. But again, I love me some Foothill Ranch. So it's just that I would say, again, the only thing you would be aware of is, again, like Portola Hills, especially, like, you're right next to, again, the Cleveland National Forest there.
Yeah, and since we are showing you a map tour, I just want to also tell you guys that we do have a driving tour of Lake Forest. It's pretty long. It's like 45 minutes. So you can look at that. I'll link to it at the end of the video, and you can, see what we're talking about. Obviously, we're showing you B-roll intermittently here, but if you want to actually, like, you're in the car with us seeing Lake Forest, you can see that driving tour.
Yes, exactly. And so, yeah, I mean, again, love me something. And then as you go further south, there's, again, a bunch of different neighborhoods in Lake Forest itself. Like, so as you get a little bit closer, like, down this, I mean, it's like a wedge. I mean, I'm not even a wedge. Like, it's just this narrow rectangle, right, of a city. So as you get closer to the 5 freeway, prices, again, it's not a hard and fast rule. It just, prices do tend to be a little bit lower in price if you're looking for value from that perspective. So prices do tend to be a bit lower, like, as you get pretty close to the 5 freeway, just as a general rule of thumb. So as you go kind of further up, they start to kind of go up in price a decent amount. So just be aware of that. But like Serrano over here is really cool. I kind of like the Serrano area itself. So Serrano, like here, actually, I had like really good friends of ours actually lived in this area, and they loved it for their, again, for their two boys.
Yeah. And then, do you want to talk about, people are always wondering, why is there have lake in the word Lake Forest?
Well,
what's the lake?
Obviously,
Yeah.
it's this
Yeah.
and this, right? I mean, that is, like, I would say that they should have called it Forest Lake rather than Lake Forest, because I would actually say, from the perspective of forests, Lake Forest actually has, again, especially by Southern California standards, all these greens here are actually green. Now, that's really funny because obviously, as we kind of pointed up as we went farther up there, that the Cleveland National Forest is definitely not super green.
No.
But this area, there's a lot of eucalyptus groves, and it's
Imported. You're wondering, where is it from? It's imported.
Native.
It's imported
to California. So so do you have these, like the woods and all this other stuff? Like, you have some really cool areas where it's really woody. In fact, some of these homes, it reminds me of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where if you're not dating ourselves, but we are. So like, when Cameron's house was in that home, like in the middle of the forest, basically.
Yeah.
That's how some of these homes have that vibe of. Like, it's really cool. I really like it. So the forest part, I actually think that it lives up to. The lake part, again, these aren't substantial. I mean,
they're nice. Like, I guess people who live there get really mad if we make fun of it because they're small. They're very small. The homes there are nice. I'm sure it's a wonderful place to live. Like, we're not saying that. It's just that even like circle Mission Viejo Lake. So that is Lake Mission Viejo. That's the city to the south, Mission Viejo. That is a much bigger lake than anything you're going to have in Lake Forest, and that's not even a big lake. Like, it's still pretty small.
Yeah, although, I find that, Lake Mission Viejo is way more impressive as far as the lake goes.
Yeah.
If we're being real. I mean, if you're coming to Lake Forest for the lakes, I think that there's other options, I guess, like if that's what it is. But there's a lot of other things that Lake Forest has going for it. Just, I wouldn't say the lakes are one of them.
Yeah. So as we know, or I should say as Sean knows, because I don't talk to clients, but as Sean knows from talking to clients, a lot of people are very interested in the school districts. It's one of the reasons that Irvine is so popular, because of its ever famous Irvine Unified School District. It's an A+ on niche.com, as well as, really high ratings all over the place. One nice thing that's about niche.com is that you can scroll down and you will see, so we're in Irvine now, not Lake Forest, but I'm just using it as a comparison. You can scroll down and see, what the ratings are of every school in the whole area. So Lake Forest is served by Saddleback Valley. So Saddleback Valley is an A overall, and you can scroll down so you can see, what are all the different ratings. And I will say one thing that's different about Saddleback Valley versus Irvine Unified. Irvine Unified is so impacted that it's almost impossible to transfer. I mean, unless you're like a teacher.
Yeah, we're talking about interdistrict transfer. Right?
So like, let's say you live here and you're going to this school, and then for whatever reason you get really mad at the principal or something, and you don't want your kid going there anymore. It's almost impossible, at least anecdotally speaking, from what we've heard from our friends as well as clients, to transfer unless you're like a teacher and you have like say. But in Saddleback, what's really nice is that, even if you're, maybe living here and you don't like the fact that it's a B+, there are ways to transfer, not only out of Saddleback, but even you could technically, you could go to schools in Capistrano. I mean, obviously it's not guaranteed, but there are ways, because there's lots of charter schools in here.
So that's a different school district.
That's a different school district, but they have lots of charter schools that you can, apply to be in the lottery to get in. And then obviously there are also charter schools within Saddleback Unified that are very highly sought after, like, for example, Oxford Preparatory. This is one, again, it's a lottery, it's not guaranteed. My experience with lotteries is that if you don't get in the first time and you just kind of stay on the waiting list, eventually you will get in. That's my anecdotal experience from, personal experience as well as friends. But this is one that's very highly sought after. I hear about this all the time. So, and then Sean, do you want to give your spiel about school districts? Because obviously ratings are one thing. We all know there's ways to game the ratings. All the teachers know this, all the administrators. So you want to give your spiel about ratings?
Yeah, so basically, how I looked at one, obviously definitely do your research, right? So a couple things is, like niche.com is a great resource. Greatschools.org is another one. U.S. News and World Report's another one after that. So there's several, places where you can actually just kind of do an overall just overview of the property and of the like schools themselves. But second to that is, just because it's rated high doesn't necessarily mean, or rated low for that matter, like either way, doesn't mean it's either right or wrong for your child. It kind of just depends on the fit at the end of the day, right? Because they might have some really awesome programs specifically that really are tailor-made for what you're trying to, what your child's trying to get out of their school experience, right? So basically, what I would always say is that, just go ahead and do some, maybe join some Facebook groups, kind of like some Facebook forums where parents are of those students in those particular schools that you're interested in, how get their input on how they like it, and then on top of that, contact the school administrators too, kind of get a feel of, again, is this the right fit for your child?
Yeah, because there's even schools, like Sean was saying, that maybe the school itself isn't rated very high, but they might have a GATE program that's very highly rated, or they might have a language immersion program that's very highly rated. And so it's a different experience if you're in that program versus just the regular school. Yeah,
we knew a school that was basically a 7 or 6 out of 10 rating, but it was a dual language immersion, but it was part of the school was dual language immersion, the other part was not. And the part that was dual language immersion would be a 10 out of 10. But the thing is that the other part of the school kind of dragged it down. So there's just specialized programs that may be a better fit. Yeah. So it's not just about the number rating.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's just, information about the school districts, especially if you're here because you want Irvine. So now let's talk about one of the main reasons that somebody might decide to go with Lake Forest versus Irvine. The elephant in the room, like Sean said, price. First, let's talk about U.S. housing price. Now, Sean and I always say, okay, so first let's do single family.
Yeah, just to compare as much like for like as possible.
Yeah. So United States single family median is $470,000 essentially. Orange County let's do single family, 1.443. So obviously
it's a little bit more.
It's a little bit more.
About 3 times more.
Although we always like to say when you're just considering the quality of life you get in Orange County, it's truly paradise. You're paying for paradise. If you look at other places that are paradise, a lot of times they are more expensive, including the nice parts of LA are probably going to be more expensive. Let's be real.
And I've worked with people that are moving into Orange County and definitely have moved out of Orange County because everyone has their reasons.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of ancillary reasons, let's say why someone would move. Number one reason is the price.
Yes.
They go, I can get this much more in this other location. I'm there, right? People will sell a 2-bedroom condo in Orange County and buy a 3,000 square foot home, let's say outside of Phoenix or something like that. And you're going.
But then they never leave that home.
Yes, it's one of those things but you talk to these people.
Yeah.
And as time goes on, the fond memories that they have of just being able to go outside at any time of year and have it not just be something of a slogging through life, right? You're living life. So it's one of those things where people have fond memories of their time in Orange County, right? So that's kind of one of those things that just be aware of, that you're going to again, you're paying for this
paradise.
Yeah, and again, when we travel, when we've been to places, you're just gonna
talk to us about our Australia trip.
Are we gonna go there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
It's too long. It's too long. Wait for our day in the life.
Or just reach out to me, and when I'm showing you properties, we'll talk about our Australia trip there.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay. And then getting back to Orange County.
So Orange County. Now I'm sure you guys are interested in Irvine. So let's go to single family homes for Irvine. Whoa, that's significantly higher. Basically 2.3 single family homes. Irvine's ever popular for many reasons.
And so one of the main reasons that I always recommend Lake Forest as a potential possibility is with their people, because people do reach out specifically for Irvine, and I inevitably ask them for 2 primary reasons.
Yeah.
What are your interests in your budget, right? What are you looking for in a property, and also what do you like to do, or do you need to be around a certain job or whatever? So based off of that, I inevitably give you alternatives to Irvine, not to push you to those alternatives, but to give you options, right? At the end of the day, it's Irvine still may very well be the place that you end up going. I have clients certainly that are thank you, Sean, for the other recommendations. We are going to Irvine, or bust.
Yeah.
you know what, more power to you, let's do it. Like, we'll kind of just laser focus on just Irvine from that perspective. But then other people going, well, yeah, what are these other areas? Because they may actually check off the boxes way more than you would think. That you're thinking, like, well, I like the idea of Irvine, but actually these other cities actually fit better for a variety of different reasons. One of them could be budget for sure. And Lake Forest, from that perspective, is pretty fantastic. And then so if you're comparing Irvine to Lake Forest, it's about $1 million difference, median price point difference. Yeah, that's a huge, crazy.
Yeah, for single family home. So basically 2.3, Irvine is 2.3, Lake Forest is 1.3. So $1 million. $1 million.
$1 million, and then it's actually about $100,000 less than Orange County's median home price.
Yeah.
Which that's pretty impressive because Lake Forest, people like Lake Forest. Yeah. So Lake Forest is a great city. It's just that, so it's below, whenever I see these cities I do like that are below the median home price of Orange County, I'm going, okay, this is an actual really nice value to it, because especially when you think about Lake Forest being pretty centrally located. It's just, so Irvine is a geographic center. If you want to go back to the map, Irvine is a geographic center of Orange County itself, and Lake Forest is just south of it, right? So, and in particular, you're right next to, you're actually closer to a lot of the employment, like the major employment hub in Irvine, than a lot of Irvine actually is in Lake Forest. So, like, Lake Forest is right next door to it. So the fact that you're in such, like, because location a lot of times dictates what the price is, because if it's convenient or not. Lake Forest is crazy convenient. You know, again, it's just again the Irvine Light aspect of convenience of location. Yeah. But again, the price difference is absolutely staggering. It is $1 million is not obviously nothing to sneeze at. So I just find Lake Forest to be a fantastic value from that perspective.
Yeah, and since we are talking about, employment areas, obviously this part, the spectrum, is a major employment area, but there are other ones as well, especially in Irvine. You've got the airport area, which is kind of like this whole thing, including Costa Mesa and Santa Ana and Newport, and then
of course
you got Newport Center right here. That first circle is kind of bad. Then you have like UC Irvine, which is right here. Then you have like downtown Santa Ana, which is right here, and then Anaheim right here. So these are like the major employment areas, and you can see obviously Lake Forest is really close to this one. It's not too
actually
far.
Part of it bleeds into Lake Forest. I mean, when I look at the spectrum, it actually bleeds into Lake Forest anyway.
Yeah, this
so you're
part
kind
right
of
here. Yeah.
Yeah, Lake Forest for being a job hub, because I know obviously a lot of people they're moving, let's say, for work, or at least work is certainly a consideration, so they don't want to be that far away.
Yeah.
You're very close to a lot of employment centers, and then again, the freeways to get there are really conveniently located. So it's not like we're talking about San Clemente, which again I love San Clemente, but it is. Convenience of location, it is not, right? There's a lot of things, but not convenience of location.
Yeah.
And it's kind of on an island where you're going to be driving a good 20, 30 plus minutes just to get started in the fringe of where like a lot of the major employment areas are. Whereas Lake Forest, you're right next door to it.
Yeah, and if you're a doctor or in the medical industry, you also might be working here.
There, or actually like just, like right in the Laguna Hills area. But also Mission Viejo too. Yeah. Like they have that one there.
So there's other medical here, and then Mission Viejo like kind of right around here.
So again, and Hogue is obviously.
And then Hogue is like right here.
And then also actually in Irvine along.
Oh yeah, Irvine along here. There's tons of medical here. Yeah. So if you're a doctor, there's other areas.
Tons of areas.
Yeah.
So long story short, for the price, for the location proximity, for a lot of the attributes that Lake Forest has, it is a fantastic value.
So let's just kind of look at maybe the median, what you're going to get median. Obviously, you're going to have some more expensive homes in Lake Forest. This is kind of like, what is this, like Baker Ranch area?
Getting close to, yeah. Portola Hills, Baker Ranch, that kind of stuff.
But let's just go down, let's randomly pick like a median.
135, right?
135.
So you have a range, right? So anywhere from like about 400,000
So here's a 135 right here.
There you go. Let's do it.
The first 135.
So this is actually the MLS, right? So, but it's just going to give you a sense of what's out there, right?
So this is median home price.
Like to the dollar.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about so Sean's the dollars and cents guy.
Yeah. So then
I rely on him. I'm like, just buy what you want. I don't know.
So this is actually in Foothill Ranch. This is a little newer pocket of Foothill Ranch, because a lot of Foothill Ranch is actually built in like the 90s. This is actually was built in 2016.
Yeah.
Single family detached residence. Obviously not a huge lot, but again, median, like literally median home price, Lake Forest, right?
So it's 3 bedrooms, 2 bath.
Yeah. So it's clean.
It's
2-car garage.
Nice shape. Little lot. Yeah. It's really nice.
Yeah. So again, not the biggest lot sizes, right? But again, depending on the house, the older the home, typically the larger the lot. So when you're talking about something newer, just be aware of that.
And also just be aware, like we were saying before, when you live in Southern California, like you're not really home that much. You're always out.
And this is Lake Forest, and this is a 1994 property.
Oh, okay.
So this is right above, right? And then
Right above median home price?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
so really clean though. Like so again, because so a lot
Looks
of
like they redid it, or maybe not.
they did for sure. They did
okay.
a lot of like updating
okay.
for sure. So and that's the thing actually what a lot of people don't understand because if let's say you're coming from an area that has a lot of new construction, they don't get the sense that you can do much with it, right? Like that you're kind of it's an older home by their standards because what's older is like 10 years or older is like old, whereas in Orange County, honestly anything built beyond the year 2000 is kind of newish.
The year 2000.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was a little Conan O'Brien reference there.
Yeah, I'll put it
in. So a lot of people, like you take these shells of a home, totally revamped it. Actually, this one was built in 2016, so this is actually pretty close to the other one.
Okay, so this one is
2,500 square
slightly
feet.
higher than median.
Yeah, but not dramatically so. And you get the pool experience. I have clients that all like love them some pool homes, so there are certainly homes that have that. I would say in Orange County, depending on where you are, especially if you're in a place that has a lot of has an association, I look at pools as less of a necessity, only because you can just kind of tap into that association's pool.
I mean, honestly, it's not usually like that hot where you're thinking about pool weather. Like August and September are hot, but other than that, it's like not that hot.
Yeah.
Like our kids, like they get sick when they go to the pool because it's too cold.
Yeah, and then obviously, like, this is a very 1970, like built in 1970s,
Yeah, so this one
in 1977.
Very much updated.
Yeah, so you'll get homes of all different shapes and colors and everything like that.
Yeah.
So it just kind of depends. But this is again another median home price, right?
Yeah.
Kind of type home. And again, very run of the mill median home price, 2,100
Yeah.
square feet. Lot size is fine. It's not huge, but again, it's kind of like just kind of giving you a sense of what's out there from the median home price perspective.
Yeah.
And remember, we are licensed realtors here in the state of California. So as much as we love making these videos, what we love more is to help you with your real estate needs. So whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, what you want to do is when you give us a call or shoot us a text.
Yes, that number is a cell phone, so you can call us or text us, or you can use WhatsApp if you're outside the country. Let's see. Oh no, the puppy.
I love you too.
Okay.